Good evening, this is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered No More. I actually have a little makeup on. I'm at my dining room table, and my daughter Edith knew I needed a new dining room table. And a dear friend of both of ours who is recovering herself and helping others because she became a therapist or a counselor. She did the training. She was in the cultish Baptist church that when Edith was younger, was a teenager, she was a teenager. We had to pull out of. I personally, as a sorceress, who wasn't actually telling my family at that point in time when we were pulling away from that kind of strict Christianity. I didn't know I was a sorceress then. You have to understand, you will know your type when it's time for you to know your type. A lot of people, and I have people in my life that are doing this still, they have this thought process. Because the New Testament says that the calling on your life has to be confirmed by leadership men in the church. And there's also this teaching, and my dad, actually, he isn't now. My dad was a misogynist, but not. It was very strange. My dad was elect, so it's not strange, but it was strange for his time. He was strict, but he wasn't. I remember one time I asked him, well, what do you think about this marriage? Because neither he or I agreed with it. It was some people that were, we knew they were going to have trouble in their marriage. They had already been together once, and then they were trying again. And Dad just thought, and then he looked at me and he said, well, it's a good thing they didn't ask me to do the ceremony. But Dad was of the old school. You don't need me to discuss that with you, American Christianity, because I've got people in my life that have tried really hard to keep me in the old school shit. They lost. Okay, so Edith and I have this friend, and she is actually got active ministry on Facebook, and this is where I'm positive towards Facebook, Instagram, and those things, but I stay away from them to a large degree for one reason. They are fueling the Republican Party, and Elon Musk is threatening it as well, but he's got issues that haven't been commonly known, and they're coming out. Which I wouldn't even say anything except for I've passed Tesla Lane in Austin, Texas. So it's relevant to my story that asshole is coming into this town. He is not aligning with the politics of the King of Kings. That's all I need to say at this point. That's Beaty-Coffey. Now, I just posted a solidarity article, and the simple point is an outlining of current school shootings. And I just happened to catch it as I hit publish because I'm trying to eat, and so sometimes I have to move away from the death in this country and have a life too, and then I go back and I'll review it more specifically. But 1999 was either the top year or the first year that they were looking at. Okay, that I was carrying and birthing my 5th child, who has a full-on career and is a beautiful woman. Now, you can say all kinds of things to me. I've been called an overprotective mother, but I have my daughter. And there's a bunch of parents out there that don't have their children because they needed or chose to send them to public school. And those kids are gone. But that doesn't even cover all of it, because there's people that are targeting, for instance, the black people in old time black churches. And I recorded that one in my first, second, or third book. I listed names, did all of that they still do. And that was a church. I think it was North Carolina. You know, Mr. Roof. Fascists. Conspiracy theorists. Now we've had 2 sets of 3 shootings. In what, 2 weeks? Get your head out of the sand if you think that that isn't intentional, and a network of people, fascists, white supremacists. I'm going to tell you something, because I'm so done. You are not human. I don't know what you are, but you're not human. You don't have a soul anymore if you cannot concede that this stuff is real and it's organized. And these people are criminals. That's not what I came on this particular recording to do. I'm going to go ahead and turn in some poetry, because I need poetry, and all the good people like me needs poetry. And 1999, my beautiful daughter was an infant. Are you glad that your daughter, all this stuff that you protected? And no, I'm not glad about anything. Yes, I'm very thankful I have my daughter here. But, you are talking to the woman who lost my brother twice, and now he's back and we can't be together. So you can go fuck yourself if you think anything about me at all other than, wow, this is Cara of the Ministry of Uncovered, and she's working with the King of Kings and her own brother, and it's a miraculous thing. That's all you're allowed to think. And my children are high level too. Duh. Oh my God. I decided to come in here today because of 1999. Prince, 1999. Well, that child, I happened to put my mother's first name on her as her first name, and now both of us don't really like it. But I'm working on forgiveness of my mother. And she is genuinely, my daughter is genuinely very outraged in a sad way that I received as much backlash as I did for some years. And one of the shootings began this timeline of death and hell in 1999. And somehow, I will be honest with you and say that all platitudes are meaningless to me at this point. Of course, I'm glad that my daughter is here. That goes without saying. It's the daughters and the sons and the teachers and the principals and everybody that's not here, because people aren't real. They're inhumane somethings. And I have had one of the King's accounts point blank answer that question for me. They're orcs. That's the only way he knows how to describe this. It's why I'm investing so much time in the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien and not, say, C.S. Lewis, who was also a genius with his writing. You didn't listen to C.S. Lewis on the radio any better than you're listening to the King of Kings on Twitter. Western world. I featured C.S. Lewis in my second book that's completely gone because the Christian church hates the King of Kings. Let's just get down to brass fucking tacks. I still listen to some worship music for myself. I have to love myself how I am formed this time, and I do love many Christians. But I swear to Satan, if I could get something done by becoming a member of the Satanic Temple, getting Christians to fuck off everything and just, gun reform now, minimum wage, unions all the way, universal health care, universal health care, universal health care, I'd do it. I'd do it. All right. So Cara's going to read some poetry because I appealed. I'm sorry, I'm chewing a piece of chicken. I appealed Psalm 35 yesterday and did a gorgeous piece of artwork and begged all spiritualists. Satanists are spiritualists, but they're also humanists, and they are agnostic, atheists. And the reason they're atheists, in my personal opinion, this is how I see it, so atheists, don't at me. Just don't do it. I've already got Freemasons being bullshitters. Please don't do that to me. I lost my point, and that's okay, because I have living proof that I was supposed to read this today in my handwriting. I'm going to let you glance at it. And this is how my Nazarite website blog was open, was because this is Longfellow, and that's what I'm going to say. C.S. Lewis. J.R.R. Tolkien and Longfellow, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, are a pair. C.S. Lewis would have had no problem with, he was friends with J.R.R. Tolkien. The spirituality was just so much nicer in their days. And I will tell you who talks about that is Frank Schaeffer. His father, Mr. Schaeffer Sr., I'm sorry, I cannot remember his name. How then shall we live? He took a dive down the Republican religious cycle, and Frank Schaeffer's had to repent for what happened with his family, and yet I will tell you right now that his dad made a tremendous amount of sense. And so did his mother. Edith Schaeffer's writings are gorgeous, and all the work that they did is beautiful. And so I don't have any answers. This is my dog Dusty. I don't have any answers here, people. This is really, really screwed up. And I don't even know in this day and age if this is my father's desk. I don't even know if C.S. Lewis, Frank Schaeffer's daddy, who ran La Aubrey with Edith Schaeffer. See, I'm protecting him because he wouldn't have. I'm answering my own question. I don't think they are turning over in their graves is the common thing, except for the problem is I happen to know they're not. they're witnesses to the King of Kings, and they're back, but they're in it's like they're in the loft. You know, you can't see them. I can't either. They're in the New Jerusalem, and they completely disagree with the Republican Party, and the Republican Party does not care, and it goes way beyond that. They're murderous. I'm doing this poem, putting it on my poetry, but it's going to be linked into the most recent Solidarity article that I put up, and I have this to say: those are my men. You do not listen to my men. We would not be here if you were listening to my men through the ages. And I was only talking since I was born in the 1960s. You don't listen to my men. I will take this back to Abraham Lincoln. You were not listening then, and you're not listening in the 1960s, and you're not listening now. And the point in the Solidarity article where the gentleman who created a beautiful piece of art and listing the shootings, and it began at 1999. So thank you, sir. That touched this off. I was not going to do one today. I'm trying to take a break from hell and murder and criminality in my country. And somehow vote blue no matter who just doesn't cut it on days like today. Like Jeff Tiedrich said in one of his tweets, my head is exploding. That's on my blog because I used a GIF where it's a skeleton holding on to a fence and fire. And I get it. Just like he does. And what I have to say to us is, let's keep going. I appreciated Bernice King on Twitter because I think it was yesterday or the day before I'd lost hope again, and I was just like, I gotta quit. I uncoverednomore.blog. I've got to quit. I've done this for years, and it's not making a difference. And then she put up one of her dad's speeches, and I think I've heard it before, and I just was like, okay. We are Solidarity, and we are not going to quit. We never quit. And that gives me some sort of comfort in a nice house when I've got Ukrainians on my mind constantly, and they're not in their country, and they're not in their homes. And oh my God, I hate this. I hate it. How many families in America you've been victimized in a way that is, oh my God, it's pure hell with these shootings. You've been victimized in a way I can't. And there's great courage here. There's great courage here. There's great courage here. All skin colors. We are we. And so this will go on my poetry, and it will go on the Solidarity article. And that's the way it is with us all, isn't it? So I'll give you a peek. This very poem started my Nazarite Mother blog, which is a blessing to me. Okay, so I have some daughters that I just worked into this. And it is so this whole section is the voices of the night, which is typically, I just will have to tell you, because I know this, Okay, that's the moon goddess. So, in a way, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, this is from The Voices of the Night, which is a book of poetry. So maybe someday I'll get that book. I am thoroughly enjoying every poem. I go very slow with it because it's intensely gorgeous, and I just need the intensely gorgeous to be there and be there and be there right now. Okay, and this is the last poem in that book. The next book is from Ballads and Other Poems. So this one is very intense for me for obvious reasons, because I just explained it to you. This has to do with the moon goddess if it's Voices of the Night. Okay. And it is titled Footsteps of Angels. When the hours of day are numbered, and the voices of the night wake the better soul that slumbered to a holy, calm delight. Ere the evening lamps are lighted, and, like phantoms grim and tall, shadows from the fitful firelight dance upon the parlor wall. Then the forms of the departed enter at the open door. The beloved, the true-hearted, come to visit me once more. And so Henry Wadsworth Longfellow is here saying, oh no, Cara, they're here, sweetheart. You've forgotten us. Just a tiny piece. Let me nudge you and remind you. See, I summon them and they come, and it's just such a privilege of witness, but we can't stop them from shooting the public school people. And that breaks my heart every day. But I fixed dinner and we've had a nice day. I took a bike ride and had to lay down for a while because I'm having to get back in shape, and that's my second one this week. And it's been a really busy 2 to 3 years. And am I out of shape? Only a certain kind of out of shape. And I'm needing to build back up just regular exercise. So then the forms of the departed enter at the open door. The beloved, the true-hearted, come to visit me once more. So they're here. He, the young and strong, who cherished noble longings for the strife, by the roadside fell and perished, weary with the march of life. They, the holy ones and weakly, who the cross of suffering bore, folded their pale hands so meekly, spake with us on earth no more. And with them the being beauteous, who unto my youth was given, more than all things else to love me, and is now a saint in heaven. With a slow and noiseless footstep comes that messenger divine, takes the vacant chair beside me. Lays her gentle hand in mine, and she sits and gazes at me with those deep and tender eyes, like the stars, so still and saint-like, looking downward from the skies. Uttered not, yet comprehended, is the Spirit's voiceless prayer, soft rebukes and blessings ended, breathing from her lips of air. Oh, though oft depressed and lonely, all my fears are laid aside, if I but remember only, such as these have lived and died. Okay. I heard the testimony of someone on TikTok today that they actually dropped their medication and do acknowledge that they struggle with depression, but they don't need medication anymore. And excuse me, I'm one of those that says, try, if you can, try to arrange your life in such a way as that you can choose against the darkness. And remember what I said. I've said this many times. Loneliness, learn from it, my loves. Learn from it. What, Cara? Well, there's a purpose in silence, and there's a purpose in being by yourself. What the runes teach is that you don't collapse in on yourself. Even giving smiles in a society as far gone and sick as ours is the job of us, my loves. Here's to poets that truly, truly love, like Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And so this is the one that will stay here with Joyce and River Higginbotham in their paganism book, neither of which I'm going to use Princeton's with henceforth. I think I may have used them with Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, but I don't think so anymore. His voice is extremely powerful, and the runes speak with him anyway. In the case of J.R.R. Tolkien, who is in... Mr. Tolkien and I go where we go, or stay where we stay here. We stay confined to a backpack with all of our art stuff and everything, because when Mr. Tolkien and I get going, all heaven breaks loose. Literally, it doesn't matter where we are together, him unseen, of course. I start reading and I can see the book of Revelation for one thing, but then I can see history. And Henry Wadsworth Longfellow is one. T.S. Eliot is one. C.S. Lewis is speaking directly to the Christian church. Y'all are still not listening to him. There's many authors out there that we can say this about. Paganism, an introduction to earth-centered religions, is a textbook, in my personal opinion. You don't need runes or anything. You need to listen. You need to be introspective. As the Bible, the New Testament says, you need to go look in the mirror. Well, Cara, what about you? That's none of your business. You've picked me apart enough. That's why I'm telling you to go look in the mirror. I look in the mirror. People who aren't interested in self-discovery and also in loving their neighbor as they love themselves, they're selfish people, in other words. They won't find the time to be lonely, to grapple with their own selves and come out of it stronger. They won't find the time to do that. All right. Goodbye today.